Hello and welcome to FootballFan.Zone, the website that gives you insight from the inside. Ex-footballers, managers, ex-managers, journalists and fans alike. I'm with Alan Curbishley, former Charlton manager, West Ham manager, Paddy Barclay, a well-respected journalist, and Adam McKola, full-time Devils, of course, a Manchester United website. We are talking now about the controversial decision for Ched Evans to potentially return to football after serving time, 2.5 years of a 5-year sentence for rape. It's one of those conversations that has to happen, and of course loads of different people will have loads of different opinions. You can have your say after we've had ours. I'm going to kick off with a fan here, someone who I'm sure will represent. Well, listen, Sheffield United is the team he played for. Sheffield United is the team that he could well return. He is a professional footballer. He has served his time. Why shouldn't he return to football?
As a fan, obviously, if you were supporting that club, you'd probably, and he was one of your heroes, you'd be biased. You'd be of the mindset that he should come back and he deserves to come back, and you'd believe him and say he was innocent. If a teacher or somebody in that kind of position was found guilty of this sort of crime, found guilty in the eyes of the court, forget whatever happened, then they wouldn't be allowed to return to work. So it leaves it in a difficult and tricky position, because on one hand we've got a person here who has, in my opinion, has done something that happens up and down the country on a Friday and Saturday night, week in, week out. And he's done, but at the same time he's a person who's in the public eye. He's paid a lot of money, got a high profile job, and a lot of people know him. So he should also act in a certain manner. But footballers are also human, and the criminal courts here want to help people improve and get better. And after they serve their time, we say, we should give people a second chance and allow them to improve themselves. So should he be playing again? It's a difficult one to say. But in my opinion, once you've served your time, you've served your time. It's a difficult one, though.
See, I think the problem here, Paddy, is that because he is a footballer, and obviously it's high profile, having said all of that, he should still be able to return potentially to a life and go and earn a living. Because he mentioned teachers and policemen, of course, he wouldn't be able to do that job, but he'd be able to go and be a plumber or a builder, so why shouldn't he be able to return to football?
I couldn't agree with you more that he should be allowed to rebuild his life, of course. But the problem is that he's not and never has been an ordinary Joe. He never has been a plumber. If he had been a plumber, he wouldn't have spent his 20s working at a fairly low level in football. I mean, his best ever season, the season before he went to jail, he was spent in the third tier of football. We're not talking about Lionel Messi or Mozart here. We're talking about Ched Evans. But even so, in that final year, he earned £1 million. He continued to be paid £20,000 a week under the terms of his contract, even after he'd gone to prison for the remaining spell of his contract. All of which is right.
Is it right?
But he's not.
Is it, I mean, morally, is that, the fans will have a view on that. Someone who's been sent to prison and still picking up huge sums of money.
Yes.
Is that question, morally, we all have a different opinion.
No, but I think that because of his job, he got paid a lot more than the ordinary man in the street. Therefore, him having taken the good parts of living in a high-profile profession, he perhaps now has to accept some of the bad parts. You can't have, the rough without the smooth without the rough. And he's not alone in this. I'm not singling out Ched Evans at all, even though the crime of which he was accused and found guilty is as horrendous as almost as anything you can imagine. But if you look at Eric Cantona, and this is why I mentioned that Ched Evans is, quite a modest member of his profession. Eric Cantona committed an offence for which the courts reckoned it was worth, on appeal, 120 hours of community service. Football gave him 8 months suspension. Luis Suarez committed an assault which probably wouldn't even have brought a charge had you or I been silly enough to bite each other's shoulders in this place where we're sitting now. And yet, football gave him 4 months. Those are the rules. And Ched Evans, like everybody else, has to put up with them.
So returning to football then, let's get back to returning to football, returning to as normal a life as he possibly can.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't he go back into football?
Because of the chants that were heard at Valley Parade when Sheffield United played their first match after his release from prison.
But that shouldn't affect. He should be allowed to get on with his life.
Yes, but football must take into account.
So you're saying it's football's problem here?
Football must take into account
why
the offence given by chants like that to, well, any decent person, whether they're a woman or a man.
Football he's not the first footballer to do time. He's certainly not going to be the last.
No.
Tony Adams, of course, when I grew up watching.
But for that offence.
Of course. But should there now, Curbs, should the FA, PFA, the Premier League sit down and review cases like this? Because this is a heinous crime.
Well, there's a couple of things that go in.
What if the next footballer is convicted of paedophilia and he then returns and wants to play football? Surely at some stage, should the PFA and the government not say, if there's a grade A, category grade A crime, we cannot allow them to return to football? Would that not solve the problem?
I think you're missing the point. He ain't returned to football.
But he's about to.
Is he?
Yes.
Where?
Well, that's the debate. This is what's coming.
Yeah. Let me tell you, I think I was outstanding. No, I was outstanding.
Well, do you think the silence is deafening?
No, I was outstanding that Sheffield United carried on paying him, because in that contract, something like this, if a player goes to prison, etc., they don't need. They can break the contract. Now, if Sheffield United had been paying him, it's because they didn't want to break the contract because they felt they had an asset, a financial asset, or a player that could come back and play for them. What the feeling I'm getting and what I'm hearing with the debate about Ched Evans is, firstly, he should be allowed to return like any other person in any other walk of life because he served his time. But I don't see anyone offering him a contract. I don't see anyone saying you're going to play for us next week. I don't see anyone doing that at the moment.
But he's still got to prove his fitness. He's still
So
contracted to Sheffield United.
it's an irrelevant conversation we're having. If he gets offered a contract by a professional club to resume playing professional football, then I think this debate will explode.
How long is he contracted to Sheffield United?
I'm not too sure, but I think this debate will explode then. At the moment, it's a little bit irrelevant, but going back to Ched Evans' situation, I do think it is unique. I can't remember a professional footballer being involved in the crime that he was found guilty of, and then
there's been plenty of allegations, but never proven.
No, but wanting to return. And the problem, as Paddy mentioned about the Sheffield United fans chanting, is if the boy does return at any stage, then he will have to run the gauntlet wherever he plays, from the away fans, obviously the home fans, and etc. So it's a difficult situation, but we've not got to that yet because, as far as I understand it, no one's offered him a contract to play football.
Well, Nigel Clough came out and said it's not his decision whether he plays whether he signs for the club. He will only be given the players that he can choose. Now, as an ex-manager, how would you deal with this? Have you just got to have your professional head on and say, irrespective of what crimes he has committed, he is now a player of a club that I manage, therefore he's available for selection? Would that?
Yeah, but
would
I think
be a problem for you?
it's like any signing, Jason. It's like any signing. You look at what the player can do for you on the pitch and what can the player do for you off the pitch. That's why some of these footballers get so many commercial contracts and image contracts. So whoever decides to sign Ched Evans will have to weigh that up. That is his football ability going to outweigh the problems off the pitch, and what is going to happen?
Should he return to football?
I think
given the opportunity, should he be allowed?
Yeah, I think that the problem that we all have is that we forget the victim in this. We forget, because we're talking about the person who's in the public eye. It's a very difficult situation, I think, for everybody concerned, and I honestly don't know. I can't honestly give you an answer because I don't think there's anything out there to guide us.
I think
In what is the way forward?
Paddy touched on Eric Cantona and other players that have
And Suarez.
Suarez. That the difference with that is those things happen on the pitch, and this is something that's happened in his private life, and that's what makes it more difficult. You asked the question to Alan that.
So I don't think it's
if he was a manager and he had a player, an employee.
I think as the current laws are, he allows him to return to football.
Yeah, of course.
I don't understand.
It's
why
just
it's
morals,
so difficult.
isn't it?
Well, this is the problem. Morally, that's a very different argument.
Yeah.
But as the laws currently stand, he should be allowed to return to professional football if a club is prepared to take
if a
him.
right is
And that's how I
appealing,
see it.
Of course.
That's how I see it.
That's true. That is undoubtedly the case. But football also has an obligation to protect its own image, and that can be through quite rough justice.
We're going to end this, and it's one of those very. I want your fans' opinion. As a Manchester United fan, if a Manchester United player was put in this situation,
I was just
yes or no, could he return for you?
I was just going to say the same thing. Football fans are very, very fickle. Sheffield United fans singing his name, I would never be doing that, to be honest. But we've seen it in the past. We saw, I had my opinion on this as well. We saw Liverpool fans take back a player who openly said he called someone by a racially abusive name. They took him back, kept singing his name. In my opinion, football fans are fickle. If you're a good footballer, they're going to want you back. If Ched Evans wasn't Sheffield United's top goal scorer, they would have stopped his contract there and then. It's only as much fans use people for as good as they are to them, and vice versa. Players use clubs and so on. But football fans are very fickle. In my opinion, I would never be singing his name. But again, you could be innocent, who knows?
I've been thinking about this now on the facts as we know them. Would I, either professionally or personally, go to a match involving Ched Evans or indeed the innocent, his innocent friend Clayton McDonald? Would I find it tasteless, even though he's innocent and been proved so by a court? I think I would. I find it hard to put money down in a turnstile to subsidise the re-engagement of Ched Evans.
Cubs?
Well, I think that for me, the player has not played for 2.5 seasons or 3 years, whatever it is, time. And, it's a long time. Is Ched Evans the footballer that he was? Have we got an irrelevant situation here? Because, I think that perhaps one of the reasons that he's gone on appeal is because perhaps he will never have the chance to resume his career.
Well, I think one thing for sure, whatever way we look at it, football unfortunately has no morals itself, whatever way you want to dress it up, whether it be for overcharging fans, for sometimes, let's be honest, putting you guys in the media in a different position, and also sacking managers as and when they don't perform. It's a controversial topic, but we'd love your input as well. You've heard what the fan has said, the journalist, and of course Curbs, and myself, my own opinion as well. Do you agree, disagree? This is your chance to have your say via the website FootballFan.Zone, or you can tweet us directly at Talk2FanZone.